What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we are going to continue our coverage over the Empyre event that took place back in 2020, and we're going to pick up with Empyre Avengers number 0. Of course, this is another prelude for the event Empyre, and it focuses on the Avengers only. And honestly, this tie-in or this prelude is really just giving you guys the same information all over again, but of course it does bring in the Avengers for this big event. But either way, if you enjoyed today's comic book video, hit that like button down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. To begin today's video, we pick up with someone having a dream. A dream about how the Kree had killed off the Katati. To give you a quick rundown about what had happened back in the early days of Marvel Comics, the Skrulls went to the planet Tala to see what race would join their empire. When they got to the planet, of course there were two races, Kree and Katati, but the Skrulls only wanted one. So they made the two races compete to see who would win a contest to join the Skrulls' empire. Now, the Kree had made an entire city, but the Katati had built a garden, which of course was more impressive because both races were placed on a moon. When the Kree found out the Skrulls were going to pick Katati for the contest, the Kree killed off the Katati race, and then went on to attack the Skrulls as well. And so it led to a huge war between the Kree and the Skrulls. But in a recent book, the war is over, and now the two sides work together as one. But again, these opening pages are just a dream. Now, the person who was having the dream was Tony Stark, and he has no idea why in the world he was having that dream. Also, why in the world it felt so real. But that is when he gets a call from Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, as she is telling him there is something he needs to see. And we see the Avengers get into one of their Quinjets and fly up into space, because there was a SOS call from the blue area of the moon, the only spot on the moon where you can actually breathe. But when they pull up to the blue area of the moon, well, they come to find out that now there's a huge garden on the moon. And the question is, where in the world did this garden come from? Once the Avengers were able to land, well, that is the moment you have everyone looking around to see what in the world is going on. Well, that is the moment they do get attacked by a Kree sentry. Of course, a powerful robot that the Kree had made a long time ago. And either way, you do have the Avengers try to fight against it. But there is something tied to the head of the sentry. It is unknown, but you do have the Avengers right now trying to beat it. But they are having a hard time beating it because this thing is strong enough to hold off an entire army if it is needed, which right now it is taking on a whole Avengers team. Now, out of nowhere, someone comes out of the shadows to actually help the Avengers out to deal with the sentry. This person was able to cut a blow to the sentry so that the Avengers have the ability to actually deal some damage to the sentry. But who is the person that just helped out the Avengers? Well, that person is no other than the Swordsman. If you have been watching our Empyre videos, we talked about how he had died. But when he died, his body was fused with a Katati to give him the ability to come back in life, so that he could be part of the process of making the Celestial Messiah with Mantis. All took place back in the 1970s. But the Celestial Messiah was really a being who was supposed to save the universe, a child from a human and a Katati. And since the Swordsman's body was brought back to life and fused with a Katati, he became the Katati, and he and Mantis, the perfect human, made the Celestial Messiah. That child name is Sequoia. I really hope I pronounced that guy's name correct because honestly, it's a weird name. Now, all of this is being told to the Avengers who weren't there or just never heard about it. Except Tony has a problem with all of this because to him, he does not believe in destiny. And right now, it seems he is being asked to believe in something that he does not. But now the question is, where in the world is Sequoia, who is supposed to save the universe or fix it? He has not been seen for a good period of time. But of course, that is the moment someone appears. That person who does appear is of course Sequoia himself, the celestial messiah that was supposed to save the earth and make it better. Some people are happy to see him, especially Thor, because Thor feels like an uncle to Sequoia. But either way, it is a happy moment. But you have Sequoia ask the Avengers to follow him so that he can show them something very important. He shows what is left in the blue area of the moon, a Kree city, except Swordsman and Sequoia are planning to completely turn this area into a garden, a starting off point to begin a new chapter for the Katati. It only makes sense to do it in an abandoned city that used to belong to a race of people that had wiped them out a long time ago. But this is a new direction for the Katati. Now, while you have Sequoia showing all of this to the Avengers, well, of course, Tony Stark is still having a hard time believing all of this because he doesn't believe in destiny, nor does he believe in the idea of gods either, like Thor. But then you have everyone coming around a campfire. Now you do have Sequoia tell the Avengers some important information, which is that right now the Kree and the Skrulls are no longer fighting against each other. Matter of fact, they're working together. They're coming to the blue area of the moon as a way to kill off the Katati. Now, the reason why the Kree wants to kill off the Katati is because the Kree had always had some kind of hate towards them. On top of that, they feel like the Katati caused a lot of their problems. Now, for the Skrulls, they feel like if they never had chosen the Katati in that contest, there would never been a war in the first place between the Kree and the Skrulls. And so you have the Kree and the Skrulls coming together as a way to kill off the Katati. Now, here comes the big thing though. Captain Marvel says they got to remember something because in an earlier story that we did not cover, there was a certain kind of incident. But with that incident, there was a message left behind, which said, watch out for the trees. Now, this incident was somebody got murdered. And so it was very weird how someone got murdered. And then there was this message saying, watch out for the trees. And so it's Captain Marvel saying, we can help them, but at the same time, we must watch out for them. Now, you do have Tony Stark kind of stand up to give a speech as a way to motivate the Avengers to get ready to help out the Katati to fight against the Kree and the Skrulls because, hey, this is two armies coming together to fight against just one race. And so the Avengers must help out because the Katati has never done anything wrong with the Avengers. And so you have the Avengers agree to actually help the Katati fight against the Kree and the Skrulls. But of course, that is the moment we see that another superhero team is out there right now in space. And that team is the Fantastic Four. And we had to cover their tie-in before we covered the main storyline for Empyre.